Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. My name is Candace Prince with Green Hope Projects. And with us today, we have Cindy Williams. She's going to talk to us about solar cooking. So I am going to turn it over to Cindy.
Okay, good morning. I'm really excited to be here this morning. This is going to be pretty informal. We're with friends and family. And my topic today is solar cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. In today's presentation, I'm going to introduce solar cooking to you, tell you my cooking story, and then share just a few recipes at the end. So a couple of years ago, I became interested in solar cooking. And one of the reasons was we still had evaporative cooling, and it was really hot in El Paso. And so I just thought there's just got to be ways to use the sun. And so I looked online and tried to build my own solar oven and was frustrated with bungee cords and visors and just didn't have the learning curve for that. So then I said, I'm just going to buy one. And the ones I found online were like $300. And so I was really frustrated. So a couple of years went by, I didn't do anything. Then we were out on the west side one day at Reliance, a store called Reliance. They're not here anymore. And they had this great little solar oven, this little travel solar oven. And they had two sizes. And I quickly purchased this little solar oven. And it's called the Sunflare Portable Solar Oven Deluxe. They have two sizes. I got the bigger size. But I love the design of this. It has two racks, two pans, a Dutch oven, two little pans, and it was affordable. It was about, I think, $150 for the whole thing. And so since then, I've actually bought a new shell because I've used my solar oven so much that I had to replace it with a shell, but I keep all these parts. And so I've been using it for several years. So I'll show you some of the things I've made. But first, why use a solar cooker? Why even do it? Well, and for me, it was just so hot in the house, I didn't want to turn my oven on. But also, we have ample sun in the summertime. So it uses the sun instead of our electricity. There's no fuel or emissions. Cookies won't burn. I mean, let's camp on that for a minute. How many cookies have you ever burned? I've burned so many cookies. They burn so fast when you cook them. But in these, with these solar ovens, they just slowly cook. And then anything we do to lower our carbon footprint reminds us about alternative energy. And I think just having those things, as habits and reminding us to do those things are important. It's good for our planet. And I think it's fun. So a few odds and ends. It cooks about like a crock pot. So if you're wondering, how hot or what is, it's similar. It's not exactly like a crock pot, but it's about those temperatures and it cooks slowly. Because it uses sunlight, I don't use mine in the wintertime. So I'm getting ready to, it's down out of the attic. I'm going to make some lentils tomorrow. It's going to be about 90 degrees tomorrow, so it'll be hot enough to start using it. But El Paso has a long summer, so we can use it. I usually turn mine about every 2 hours. And what that means is I'll set it up in the morning about 11 a.m. As the days get longer, it's like 10 a.m. But I'll leave it pointed to the sun. And about every 2 hours, I need to actually just move my little table so that it's still facing the sun. And again, cookies won't burn. So one of the things I found in my research, this is just for worldwide, is women in developing countries, the way they were cooking is they were going out, chopping firewood from trees, bringing the wood into their little huts, cooking with fire, and then because of that, burning themselves, burning their children would get burned. It was terrible. And then as they're depleting the wood source, they're having to walk, several miles just to get some wood to bring it back. And so Solar Cookers International has done a lot to go into villages and help people get these solar ovens in these communities, for all the other reasons we talked about. So they are just really an amazing organization. So you can look into them. And Candy, if you want to just post that link in case anybody's interested in Solar Cookers International. So I just thought that was really interesting. So let's start cooking. Let me show you some of the things I've made. In your solar oven, you can make veggies, breads, meats, and cookies. This next will be some of the things you can make in your solar oven. So there's a bread, that's zucchini, cookies, and we don't eat a lot of meat, but I was trying to make meat to make the point that it does get hot enough to cook your meats. So here's a spaghetti sauce. So I started with grass-fed beef. I just put the beef in the little stock pot with some fresh basil, onions, and seasonings. And 2.5 hours later, the meat was cooked. It needs to reach a temperature of 160 degrees. Well, the solar oven was about 230, 40 degrees. So that surpasses those requirements. The solar oven was over 200. So if it's, 80 or 90 degrees outside, the reflection of that like foil lining, and then it's zipped up in plastic. And so it retains all that heat. Then I just popped in some mushrooms because I didn't need to cook as long. Let them cook and then put some sauce in there. Cooked again for about an hour, but I could have left it. That's what's nice about it is I can put things in the solar cooker and then I can go to the store or I can come inside or I can, I don't have to baby it and just change it every couple hours. And then I did make my noodles inside. I think this summer I'm going to try to do a little bit more with breads and noodles and just see how things turn out. So just another tip is using the solar cooker all day is usually too long. Like if you just put something out there and it's there like all day, unless it's beans. Beans need to cook a long time, like pinto beans, but some lentils cook really quickly. The solar cooker is slow, but it can overcook things just like a crock pot. So a crock pot, I made a stew the other day and it was ready in 4 hours and it could have probably held up being there all day, but just like a crock pot, some things can, get overcooked. So, one of the things I've made is potato salad, and I really like the idea of cooking things with no oil. I didn't even need water. So I had these little potatoes. I put them in my two little pans. And I put them out in the cooker for about 2 hours. That's 2 hours. I didn't have to run my oven. And then I just added some veganaise and some onion and some eggs, and I made a potato salad. That's an easy thing. I'm going to spend a few minutes on homemade bread because homemade bread just has so many benefits, especially if you're using, these are wheat berries. And just like coffee beans, if you grind the coffee beans right before you use them, or any kind of bean or grain, it's the most nutritious. So if I make bread like this, I use a Vitamix and I grind up the wheat berries right before I'm going to use them. And so it keeps that whole germ. So when you're eating the whole wheat berry, you're eating the whole grain. And when you buy flour at the store, they've taken out the germ. They take out the good parts. So it's the whole grain. So you're eating the whole wheat berry grain, which the store, the roots. Wheat berries, they're cheaper than flour and way cheaper than store-bought bread. And some people I think are just overwhelmed with, I'm making bread. But I know because of the pandemic, more people have been home experimenting with breads. And so I've also been experimenting with more like French breads. And so if you don't buy store-bought bread, it's one less piece of single-use plastic that comes into the house also, because bread just comes in, sometimes it's double bagged. You can make bread in a regular oven too. So in the wintertime, if I do this Vitamix process, I can make a loaf of bread in an hour and a half. So even if I'm working and I come home in the evening, I can make a loaf of bread in an hour and a half. In the summertime, I can make it and then set it and forget it. Just leave it outside and it'll make. So I grind the wheat berries in the Vitamix. And then I take warm water and yeast, and that proofs. And this is a picture of the Vitamix from the top. Add a little lemon, honey, grapeseed oil, a little salt, grind it up. And then the Vitamix actually does the kneading. So you just pulse it a couple times, follow the directions, and it turns into dough. Then you put it in your little bowl. It rises for about 20 minutes. And then put it in the solar oven. Cooks at about 230 degrees. If I do it in my oven at home, it's 350, but it just goes longer. I didn't know if bread would brown because I thought, well, it's going to cook low. It's just going to dry it out. Look how pretty that is with the pumpkin seeds, and then cool it and slice it and then put your favorite thing on it. And it's really whole wheat bread. So this was a recipe I made with beets, and they don't look very pretty right here, but they're going to be beautiful in just a minute. So I just took beets, no oil, water. I just left them out there for a couple hours. Beets take a long time. I have to cook them really high in my regular oven, but I just left them out there for a long time. And then I peeled them. Look at that pretty red color. Peeled them, added vinegar, oil, basil, and onions, and topped with a little feta cheese. I make a lot of salad in jars. They're good to take to work or school. This will hold up in the fridge for almost a week. And then lentils, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm excited to get my oven out and do this tomorrow. So it's just lentils, water, garlic, carrots, and spices. And then in a couple hours, or lentils actually are pretty quick. After 2 hours, you have lentil soup. Yeah. You just have to experiment with peruano beans. I just put this in here because it's just really good to alternate your beans. I use lots of different kind of beans. I had to leave, I had to go to work or something, and they were out for about 5 hours. They were a little mushy, but any beans that are mushy, you can always just puree them and make bean dip or a hummus or a bean paste with them. So, but they were yummy. Zucchini side dish. So I zoodled my zucchini, put it in the little cooker, 1.5 to 2 hours, topped it with pesto, a good low carb, healthy meal. Cookies, you can do any kind of, this is my favorite thing to do. Oatmeal raisin chocolate chip cookies. These were gluten-free, sugar-free, and vegan. So for this one, I took bananas. Currently, I'm not buying bananas. I'm on this kick of just trying to eat mostly all local fruits and veggies, but this was a great recipe. So bananas, smashed them up, used oats, chocolate, raisins, and some coconut. You can add whatever you want. You can use any cookie recipe. Put the cookies on my cute little tray. And I can put them out on a hot summer day and go take a nap. in the afternoon and wake up to the cookies. They can cook for an hour and a half, or they can go 3 hours. They just kind of dry out and they get perfect. So they're my favorite thing to make. So there's a nice pan of cookies. This was something I made, vegan pumpkin bars. Mine were gluten-free and vegan. I used oat flour and medjool dace, but you can do, this is just to give you ideas of things that you can do. Any kind of bars or cookies, cooked them after about 2 hours. Used a macadamia nut frosting, which I used with dates and shredded coconut. Vegan rhubarb berry crisp. That was delicious. That was my first time to work with rhubarb. I was at the farmer's market. I was like, I should work with rhubarb. So I got the rhubarb, put a little vegan butter in here, put rhubarb, chopped it with just like an oatmeal flour crisp mix, cooked it for about 3 or 4 hours. Look how pretty that is. It was Father's Day. We added a little ice cream to it. And my oven is actually a sunflower solar oven. I used to order them directly from the company in California. And I was looking at their website the other day. They've pretty much directed all their sales to Amazon, but I still think it's one of the highest rated ones if you go there. And so I've just really had a lot of fun with it. And I'm going to go to stop share. Anybody has any questions? Oh, I see there's a bunch of questions in the chat, which I haven't been able to see. So Candace, I'll let you manage that.
Does anybody want to unmute and ask Cindy anything?
I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful way to cook. I love it. I have a solar oven as well, and I used it several times, almost the same kind of containers.
Okay.
I like the idea of the shelves. That's a good idea.
Right.
But I guess my solar oven just has, whenever I cook in it, my food just has this flavor. I don't know if it has a flavor, but smell, flavor and taste and smell kind of go together, of plastics. Do you ever have, it doesn't look like you have any plastic in there at all, but I guess I was trying to figure that out.
The smaller ones they're silicone.
Silicone, okay.
So which is a form of plastic, but no, I don't notice that. And then the large is a metal. And Gary's my husband. I cook for him. Do you notice any plasticky taste?
Yeah.
It's food quality silicone, so I think it's designed. I did, Eileen, I did want to mention to you and the others that Cindy and I, because of the cost, we said, well, let's try to do this on the cheap. So we started with the shield that you put on your windshield of your car and some duct tape. And it didn't work that great. But this woman who developed this was unemployed and needed money. And so she took the concept of a car visor and she created that. It's much cheaper, but they've held up very well. They're light, they're easy to use, and I think she got it right. So anyway, I wanted to mention that to you.
Well, the one I have is a box, and I think it's lined with something that just, I don't know. It has a plastic lucite lid, which is very convenient. It gets very hot. But yeah, I'll have to try that.
Do you have a little thermometer in there? Do you know?
Oh yeah, it gets. Yeah. No, I add one. I don't have one.
Okay.
Though. Yeah.
Right, but you have one. Yeah, 230, 250, right? Does yours get hot?
That size, solar cooking as well, which is pretty cute. So they have a kind of a baby version of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a smaller travel one, but I use mine. Like on the weekend, I'll make, quinoas or asparagus. I'll just do. Like when I was working full time, I would just do a lot of cooking on the weekend and then just save those things for the week. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm just going to look at the chat. Feel free.
Do you know if there's like a way to alter the speed of the cooking? Because I know it is controlled by the sun, but
Sure. Well, usually pointed to the sun, it's on high. And if it's not quite pointed to the sun, it's a little lower. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's how
The
you
position.
regulate it. The position
Okay.
of how it faces the sun, right?
Did you find out that, or was it like written or something?
No, it just was kind of common sense because as the sun is directly on it, that it's just hotter. So and that's why I turn it to always be facing the sun, but you only have to turn it every couple hours.
Okay then.
Anybody else have questions for Cindy?
So Candace, I have a couple of students on from the Texas Tech College of Architecture, El Paso. Leslie, I'm glad to see you, and Diana. So welcome to you all. And they do a lot of green work as they look at built structures. And so the movement of the sun, we don't stop and think about it because so many of us are indoors, but it's such a powerful part of what human beings have done on the earth for so long is follow the sun and right cook with it is, I think, just sort of amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. We're so happy to have you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if you missed it at the beginning, but there's several more workshops, so we encourage you to sign up. Cindy, I was wondering, I know solo cooking is a little bit different than cooking indoors. Out of all the recipes you've ever done with solo cooking, do you have one that you're just like, this one's like perfect? Like it's your favorite?
Cookies. When anybody asks me that, I just say cookies. They just, I do them inside, and I'm pretty good at doing my cookies inside. I haven't burned cookies in a long time, but you really have to watch them inside, and you put them outside and they just sort of dry out, and then they get a little crusty and they don't get quite as brown on the top, but they're just delicious.
And you said it takes how long?
You're my neighbor. I bring her my baked goods. So one of the things I want to try is this winter, because I was home, I made a lot of French breads, but they have to cook at 450 degrees. I really blast that oven. So I'm gonna try them and just see if they still do. And then noodles, I think I'm going to try noodles too, because that was something the spaghetti I did inside. So that's my, we always should have some next steps, right? Whatever we're doing.
On average,
I wonder if you put, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Eileen.
I just have an idea, and I've never tried it in my oven, but I wonder if you put like a pizza stone or something really, and get it really hot. That'll actually maybe make the temperature go up higher. I'm not sure if it might ruin your oven. I don't know. That's the other thing. If it gets to be
because it's on a metal grate, it should be all right. Yeah. I actually have a small stoneware square that fits in my toaster oven, so it would fit on that.
Right.
That might be that's an idea. Yeah,
make yourself a hearth. I'm wondering, at my house, I can't leave it for 2 or 3 hours because I'll have some animal come by. Have you ever had any trouble with that, or a squirrel?
No.
Good.
No, it's so hot that they don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Cats in the back. I'm sure if I left meat out, they would bother it, but it's just too hot to touch.
Yeah, that's true.
Would your animals touch it if it's that hot?
I guess it was just when it began, and I thought I was safe, and I went inside and came back, and you could tell it wasn't ruined, but I wasn't going to eat it. It was one of those kinds of things. So I'm fortunate enough I can get something else to eat.
Lucky you have animals around you.
Yes, I am lucky. Yeah.
That's cute. Okay.
About how long does it take for the cookies to go again?
They can go about an hour to an hour and a half, but if I leave them longer, they might dry a little bit, but there's just a range of, I'm going to make you some.
Okay. I'm already getting texts from people who are watching that they know their daughter would really like this. So this is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a easy
Oh, easy. He's saying easy bake oven.
bake oven times 10 something. A little light bulb, you know, but it's really, I'm the beneficiary of everything. Of course, Cindy Mae gave me. And she's very unselfish and distributes things everywhere. You know,
Maybe I need to ask Gary, what's your favorite recipe that she's done on the solar cooker?
you know, anything Cindy makes, I love. She just
Oh my
has
gosh,
great-
He's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, he'll eat
Yeah.
anything I make him.
and of course, cookies. I'm a cookie man. Yeah.
Cool.
It's very cool. And I think introducing kiddos to it, they can manage. They really can. There's no flame. They're not going to get hurt. Just go
Yeah.
chill.
Well, it does get hot. You have to still watch
Yeah,
him.
that's it.
But-
Yeah.
It's great for
This is really cool, like if you go camping especially, right?
It's a travel one. Yeah, they have a smaller travel one. Right.
Yes. So do you guys have any more questions for Cindy or comments? Somebody in the chat. That's why I am here, but 5-year-old is obsessed with solar cooking. Thank you. Very
cute.
informational. Anybody else have any comments or questions for Cindy?
Thank you all so much. This was fun.
This was fun. Man, talk about like, boom, you had it right on time too, 9 to
Right.
30.
9:30.
Yeah, well, thank you so much again, Cindy. This is awesome. We will be posting this online so people can go back and watch it again. And if you know anybody who's interested, please share that with them. So thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.